Thank you so much, Prof. Welcome to the Kenyan Historian. Najitanga the Kenyan Historian. Ndio mimi.
That's a new name you're giving yourself?
No, it's a brand name. Walk around. Happy to meet you today. I'm doing this interview at the time Kenyatta University has been ranked as the first university in Kenya. And it comes at a time you are at the helm of the institution. As the leader here, how does it make you feel?
I think it makes me celebrate the team that I have, the staff that I have. And it also makes me celebrate persistent, consistent, and appreciate patience. Because what you are referring to is the ranking by the Times Higher Education for World University Ranking.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what you're referring to.
Yes.
And why I said that is what I celebrate is because we have been submitting to this organization since 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of how much we did in the 5 key pillars that they use in the ranking, we were simply categorized as a reporter. A reporter is an organization that submits but doesn't qualify for ranking.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I celebrate journey, I celebrate persistence, I celebrate the patience, and I celebrate the staff that have continued to work so hard to actually have us get here.
Okay.
So, and it feels, the other thing it makes me feel, when you do well, an additional responsibility is placed on you. Not just maintaining that particular position, but also going beyond. Mm-hmm. So we have a responsibility to actually remain at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that's your question. That's how it feels.
Now, myself, I'm an alumni of KU. I schooled here. Not so long ago, but it's now like it's a decade from the time I stepped my foot in KU.
It's actually 2 decades. 2
decades.
2 or 4.
Hey, I'm doing wrong mathematics.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, 20 years. Hey, I'm becoming very old.
You said you're what historian?
The Kenyan historian. Ni kama nazeeka akili inapotea.
Don't worry, that's why science and arts are combined.
Now, history yako, your history with KU. What is your history with KU? I know we'll go back to the ranking and everything.
Yes.
But I just want to know the history of Professor Washeke with KU.
In this great university.
Yes.
Yeah. Very interesting, very interesting. Kenyatta University is my only employer and has been my only employer for the last 35 years.
You mean it?
And nearly half of that have been in different leadership positions.
So when I was schooling here, you were here?
You just said you joined in 2014.
Yes. 2004.
2004.
Yes.
When you joined here in 2004, and I'll give you the challenge of doing the mathematics, work backwards. I joined this university as a lecturer in the 89. So do the maths.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you say you are proud of everything that has happened in KU,
yes,
it's in you.
It's because I have been part of the transformation. And so when I'm here, we are celebrating. And I say again, persistent commitment journey. You know what I mean? And continuous improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I joined the university, this was not what it is today. And not just infrastructurally. Even the systems, the efficient systems that we have today was nowhere. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But because of the continuous commitment towards improvement and making ourselves better, there are those who have gone before us that have done their inputs, and so we have continued to build on that. So what you see, the Kenyatta University that you see today was not the Kenyatta University that was in 1989.
From a lecturer, or first from a student, lecturer. I need to do better. I need to come back and start my connection with Kay. I think I need to improve on it.
Yes.
Now, if someone walks through KU, I remember those days KU used to be called the University of the Future. We used to have the motto called the University of the Future. And when the new leadership came in after Professor Everest Stander, it changed. But I want to look at it from a person who left Kenya. You know, we have alumnus who are, let me say alumni because there are many who are outside Kenya, most probably those who left many years ago before KU became what it is. Maybe they just see pictures, they see videos of how magnificent the university is today. So beyond, you've talked about beyond the structures, but let's first of all look at the infrastructure. How has it enabled KU to be where it is today? Because we've seen when I was here, we only had Moi Library. Today there's another library. This administration where we are today, it wasn't there. I think this was a culture village or something like that. So how have these changes helped the university?
I like your memory that you can remember there was a culture village somewhere around here.
Yeah, we used to have Pingira,
yes,
the houses
to represent the different communities. I'm glad you remember that part. But I'm also glad that you remember there was a Moi library. Yeah. But I just want to remind you there was another library which you have not talked about. The one that is next to Botzu, where I did my studies.
I never knew there was another library. I was here for 4 years.
That's it. I think earlier you had said you need to come back and do a catch-up.
Yeah.
Because from that small library, we came to Moi Library, yes. And now we have the postmodern library.
Magnificent.
And going back to your question, really, Enoch, you know, when you talk about a vision that you want to be a dynamic, inclusive, and globally competitive, then creating, and it's a higher education institution, then you have to create a conducive environment that reflects your aspirations. And that is why every VC who has been here have done their contribution.
Yes.
And there was Professor Mugenda who contributed significantly to the development of the infrastructure that we see today.
Yes.
And I was happy to be part of the team that was actually involved in that.
Wow.
Because I got appointed to the position of the director, Regional Center for Capacity Development, 1 year into her leadership. And even after she left, I continued serving in different capacities under Professor Paul Wainaina. And even then, I think I used to say my first blue letter came from Eshiwani. The late Professor Eshiwani.
Yes.
So creating a conducive environment for learning was very, very critical. So infrastructurally, that is one of the things that we have done. And collaboratively and together with the support of Council, we also managed to actually put systems and structures in place. During that time, it also coincided with a very strong thrust to transform the way government does business.
Yes.
So issues of strategic plans, I was so surprised that there were many, many institutions that operated without strategic plans. Issues of ISO certification. issues of, having quality management systems were also introduced at that time, because there was a very, very strong push by government based on the Kenya Vision 2030. And I also, how I got to know the details of this is because around the same time, I was actually appointed by the then Prime Minister under the Performance Contracting Department to be one of the independent external experts to negotiate and to also evaluate performance contracts by different ministries, departments, and agencies of government on behalf of the government.
Oh, the things people are signing, I remember.
They are called the performance contracts. I'm surprised you're calling them things. And they're not,
you know why I'm saying things? You know why I'm saying things? I remember there was a lot of resistance that particular time from people in public service. They were like, they didn't understand. And I just realized that people are bound to resist change.
No, we experienced that. That hostility, we experienced it. It was so severe. And without getting into the details, I think it's good to celebrate what that process produced.
Yeah.
Because that really led to the transformation of the Kenya that we enjoy today. Issues of delivery charters, service delivery charters were introduced then, and the PC, even if after devolution it didn't take root in the county government, and it seems like it slowed down at the national government level, that contributed greatly to the transformed Kenya that we enjoy today. So back to your question, infrastructure, systems and structures, policies that guide. And at the same time, I think about 6 years after, we then had the Universities Act 2012 that now brought into place the Commission for University Education as regulator for all the universities, both private and public. Before then, we had the Commission for Higher Education, whose primary mandate was to regulate only private universities. But now when the act was enacted, then both the public and the private universities were given the same regulator. That is the Commission for University of Education. And that has also contributed in the transformation that you see today in the higher education sector.
You know why I asked you that question?
Yes.
When I was here training, I remember that particular time we had a little bit of a challenge when it comes to infrastructure.
Yes.
I come here and all the time I meet students in the health, School of Health. I tell them, you are lucky guys. The institution has really worked. Maybe we were the first ones to push, but today you are sorted in many ways. I saw they have, for example, the mortuary here, we didn't have it for studies. Now they have, and quite a number of facilities. I see they have an independent school, and that one just speaks to what you're alluding to, that the journey has been good, and with the infrastructure, now academic performance can actually just follow.
Yes.
So I want to know something. You alluded to having a good staff, over 1,000 people just working to ensure that the engine keeps rolling. Tell me how you ensure that there is like a bond between this huge population, and to ensure that they roll together with the same vision.
I think maybe the number of staff I referred to of just slightly over 1,000, those are teaching staff.
Teaching?
Yes.
So there are many, because when you include now non-teaching staff?
Yes, there are many. Almost just slightly less than 3,000.
Wow.
Right?
That's a huge number.
So they are organized into 7 schools under the dean. Okay. And then you have departments within the schools, right? But first of all, at this level, you have, of course, the office of the VC, and is supported by 3 deputies. One in charge of administration and finance, the other one is in charge of academics and student affairs, and the young one is in charge of research, innovation, and outreach. And under those divisions, they have each mandates, okay? Like when it is human resource, that is under the administration. If it is students, any academic matters, that is under the division. Mm-hmm. And then, so like all the academic schools are under the division of academic. Yeah. So that arrangement, that organizational structure ensures that there is adequate support and adequate connection. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that none is left behind. And then once in a while, we'll have, of course, we have the Senate, where now you have the chairman of the departments, the deans, the directors, the full professors, and that is another place where even if we are deliberating on matters to do with students, examinations, curriculum, and so forth, it's also a moment to meet. And then every year, before we break for Christmas, we have a get-together as the entire university community. Mm-hmm. So, and then for non-teaching, we also have mechanisms to engage with them, just like we have mechanisms to engage with the students.
So, there is one thing that the university has now.
Yes.
Yes, we know history says that the university started as a college, a teaching college, under the University of Nairobi. But it has transitioned quite a number of courses. When I was joining, I was among the people who had joined new courses. The medical laboratory science had just been introduced.
Oh, you did medical labs?
Yes.
I now can understand why you are interested in health sciences. I was trying to connect.
Yeah,
medical labs. Yes. Yeah, now that I remember.
I did medical lab science here.
Yes,
it was just a new course. And
yes.
I've seen the university has increased in terms, there is engineering, school of, let's say there's medicine, there's pharmacy, right?
Yes.
Quite a number of courses. What does that speak of the university?
One, we have 7 schools, 7 academic schools.
Yes.
And 2 supportive schools, the graduate school and the digital school.
Yeah.
We have 73 departments. Mm-hmm. We have about 350 programs that are accredited.
Those are quite a number.
And we are a comprehensive university.
Yes.
Involved in virtually all the disciplines, including the relatively new areas like biomedical engineering, the aerospace engineering, and so we are big, and we are not done yet, because by now we had envisaged that we'll have established the School of Dentistry.
Wow.
Yes.
To cover all the
to make sure that we cover all the fields in the health health sciences. Oh, wow. In the health sciences, where we already have the medicine, surgery, we have nursing, we have pharmacy, we have public health. We are also big in public health. So once we establish dentistry, then we can probably say for now we can do that, and then work at making sure that the postgraduate programs are also done.
As we wind up.
And just to let you know that we also have this campus and all our satellite campuses accredited by TVETA to offer diploma courses.
By the way, Kenya has a big hotel.
Yes.
Right?
Where, in Mombasa?
Yeah.
Are you referring to the one in Mombasa?
Yes. I remember something like that.
Yes.
How is it? How does it help the university to roll?
Yes, that is one of our income generating unit. Uh-huh. And it also supports our hospitality and tourism department. Uh-huh. Yeah.
So like during internship or during...
Yes, but it is also open. We are also open to providing internship positions for other institutions training in the area of
Hata kukula
hospitality.
nikitoka hapa naenda kukula huko.
In fact, when you go there, you will get a discount because you are an interview. No, ni lazima uonyeshe.
Hata ningesema tu kila mtu anaweza enda kusema.
Hapana, Enoch. If we allowed that, every Dick and Harry will walk in.
We'll go there.
We'll walk in, yes.
Now I'm just introducing something.
Yeah.
The products.
Yes.
Of KU.
Yes.
How are their performance when we're talking about the people who leave KU?
Yes.
I know you have a database, you engage with some. When you look back and when you look at the products that you produce, what will you say about that or about them? I know I'm one. I'm one of them. You are number two.
I'm going
You're
to
number
point
one.
out.
Yourself, you're number one.
I was going to point at that. Just look at how Enoch is doing and the other KU alumni. And that is testament in itself. We get a lot of feedback from industry, unsolicited, giving very, very positive feedback about how our graduates are doing. And I'll give you an example. Once in a while, when the students are out for teaching practicum, I participate in monitoring. And so I have opportunity to interact with different principals in different regions, in different schools. And I don't know whether they should put on the record. And what they usually say, when universities request for reservation of spaces for students to go and do their practicum, they know they have specific slots that they have reserved for Kenyatta University students, teachers. Wow. Because the student teachers have been consistent in terms of behavior, in terms of performance, in terms of etiquette, and in terms of an all-rounded student. Yeah. The other thing that speaks into it, there was a study done on employability. I can't quite remember the company that did it, but we became number 2 in terms of employability. Then when I was DVC ACAD, we did tracer studies specifically for the students in the School of Law. The students in the School of Law, 80% had placement within the first 6 months. Wow. That speaks. And if they were not placed here, they were already out doing their masters in a related field. Because so some of those who felt we don't need to go to the School of Law. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that speaks to it. That speaks about it itself. But what we are planning to do is to expand the tracer studies component to cover all the disciplines, all the schools, all right? And I have guided the division to incorporate feedback from the employer themselves. Okay. Because, tracer studies will capture what the student is saying because they are a direct link. But we want to integrate that into what is the feeling, what is the feedback from the employer. The other area where we get feedback from is because of our commitment to quality, Enoch. For 3 months after the end of your 3rd year, before you transition to the 4th year, there is provision for attachment or practicum. And depending on your discipline, that can be three months or that can be 1 year, particularly for those who are doing medicine, right? Yeah. So that also gives us an opportunity because this is a collaborative effort where we have a supervisor here working with the student and the supervisor in the organization where the student is attached. So as they give us feedback, the reports, that also speaks into the quality of our graduate.
I know I have so many questions, but I know you are also a busy person.
Don't worry, I am available for this because I know once we are done with this, it will be another couple of years before we can engage again.
Now, I want to know something. Okay, before I go back and I ask something else, let me go back to the question that I had asked about the performance of the product of KU. It's not a question. what I experienced, even when I was here, I remember those days. I used to ask myself why there were quite a number of journalists from KU, and KU did not have, did not have a faculty in the mass communication or journalism, and yet we had so many, the likes of Sadiq Shaban, the likes of Eric Shimoli, Daily Nation. There were big journalists in Kenya. Then I also looked at that particular time when we used to see many organizations just come to KU to recruit students while still studying. I remember there was Equity Bank, there was Cooperative during our time. I don't know if it's still continuing, but I hope it is.
It is still continues. That was being done within the context of the the career week.
Wow.
So that has continued. But also because of the performances of our alumni out there, organizations now get preferences. So like when I was a dean, I would get several requests. Mm-hmm. We want 15 of your students who are at this stage of their studies, and we want to engage them. We want to absorb them as trainees. You know what I mean? And I'm sure that was reflected in all the other schools. Yeah. And this is, Enoch, this is what happens when you work towards creating a good brand. You know, you will be sought after.
Not you looking for them.
Not you looking for them.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things I when I was a dean and when I was DVC academic, I keep talking to the students. You know, what you do when you get out there has to be consistent with our brand. And if you mess, you have messed for everybody else. And this is how come, even when I was at Dean School of Agriculture, we initiated conversations to have our students actually go to Israel. And after the end of my term, that was actually actualized. We have, I think, the first cohort that went there was about 40 students. So it's like you protect a brand and you are sought after. Mm-hmm. And you are sought after.
So, when you being at the top of the university, I would love to know what are the plans, future. Where do you see Kenyatta University in the next few years from your vision? Let me say 5.
Maybe that's a 10. Question I should ask if I get this position substantively.
My God is listening. And my God is watching you.
But whether I mean, for me, with or without a position, this is what I believe. Making your most and your best contribution in the position that you are in. Because your individual contribution and the individual contribution of the other, when combined, there is synergy and they contribute to the whole. Mm-hmm. So overall, I want to see this university, whichever position I hold, whether I'm a professor, is us making a contribution to this country to transform it to the country that we want it to be. Okay? And make our contribution so that this country can make their contribution to the African continent. To become what the country wants, what the continent wants to be, and so on and so on. Okay? Mm-hmm. So for now, it's like you have the beta agenda. How can we help the government achieve that? Okay? Because see the connection. The things that we are doing at this level has a direct bearing on the beta agenda, the Kenya Vision 2030, the African Union 2063, the East Africa Community Vision, and the SDGs. Because all these, even if they are broken, we are all serving the entire globe. Mm-hmm. So it is making our contribution.
Yes.
So that even when I didn't have a position, Enoch, I did work that today continues to impact this particular university and the nation. I established a lab worth about 25 million to support students training in their masters. And so at this level, mm-hmm. I want to see this university making impact, practical solutions to the challenges that we are having today. And leveraging on technology. And remember, in this age of technology, ideas are also coming from the students. You know what I mean? So we are encouraging innovation and linking that innovation to a solution that is affecting people who may not have the opportunity to be where we are.
You believe that some of the answers we are seeking for as a country or as a continent, they can be found here? Or most?
I don't want to say some, right? Because what cannot be found here, we have collaborators whom we have been working with.
Yes.
So I think for me is, to what extent are we committed to addressing this problem? To what extent have we put selfishness aside to address this issue that will impact the greater population? Mm-hmm. We, and I believe, and I want to say it again, we have capacity. We have capacity to provide solutions to the issues that are affecting our own country, our own continent, our own world. If people work towards the same goal and they work collaboratively without any competing interests. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I know you walked here some time back, many years ago, as a young girl, and you walked through Kenyatta University, and now you are leading the institution. So many would want to know, what is Professor Washeke's journey?
Wow. Are you going to come to this?
As we wind up.
Interesting. I started my journey. So you want to find out where I started, or what are you looking for?
Yeah, people want to know, where is Professor Washeke from? And was she born and raised up in Nairobi and went to, is it Mary Hill Girls or whatever? Or maybe went to a school in Nakuru or Mombasa?
That is interesting. I started...
Mm-hmm. Oh, that one.
Oh, the hour, yeah. So I started in a very remote school in Nakuru County.
So I was right, one of them, at least. Yeah.
You must have checked something.
I did. Oh, yeah, you see, I picked many.
And
Nairobi, Nakuru.
And I was the first to pass in that school in 16 years. That just tells you how rural the school was. And so I got admitted to a school in the same county, mm-hmm. where the who is who from Nairobi would bring their children.
Yeah.
Then I went for my A-level in a different county. And then I got admitted here in 1984 to do a Bachelor's of Education Science.
Mm-hmm. So tell me, when you arrived here, how did you feel? How was it? It might be a long time ago, but we would want to know how girls of those days were feeling when you got an admission to the university. Remember?
I wasn't excited at all.
Why?
I wasn't excited because education was not my choice. I'm a science person, and I felt, and then there was no opportunity to move from one university, transfers. What we are experiencing today, there was no opportunity. So my first year I was like, should I continue with this, or shouldn't I just go and do a diploma? Now that there is no room to move from one university to the other. But I quickly steadied myself, and I told myself, well, this can be a starting point, but I'll still end up doing my area. And I love plants. I loved working with plants. I loved playing with plants even when I was young.
Yeah.
And so I went through the journey and I finally ended up being a plant pathologist.
Sorry, I want to know that, and you just jumped because your story relates to mine because I didn't want to be anywhere in hospital. So
Yes.
then I found myself here.
Yes.
And I was like, I tried to transfer. There was no chance. Me, there was a chance. I tried, but it failed.
Yes.
I will not mention name, but
Yes.
someone lied to me for a whole year. Because now I was to do inter-university? I was
Yes.
to move from KU.
Yes, in your time there was inter-university.
Yeah, I was
through the then joint admissions board.
Yes.
In our time there was nothing like that. Completely. And this was during, by the way, Gashi's time. That's when I joined the university.
Okay.
When it was still a college.
A college of
when it was still a Kenyatta University college.
Of AON.
Yes. So what happened is that after my first year, I talked to the chairman of the department. I had gathered enough courage. Like I said, I steadied myself and said, well, we'll work and find out how I can end up doing what I wanted to do. And so after 1 year, I talked to the chairman of the department, and by that time also, we had what we call academic advisors in the department. So we went through the possibilities, how I can move.
How you can maneuver around it.
Yes, to get to doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah.